Because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
Yeah, this is definitely going in TexAgs Rewind, presented by T-Mobile. Clay, just so can you do it again?
Over again.
God, it's terrible.
Don't make me change my mind.
It's got pipes.
It's TexAgs Rewind. We're presented by T-Mobile. I'm trying to run a professional operation here, but I've got these guys walking around. Andrew, by all means, come in. The show's already terrible. Fine. See. By the way, thank you to T-Mobile. They want to remind you to visit T-Mobile.com/across America to learn how you get more value and coverage with T-Mobile. They give great coverage, and we try to do that as well here on the show, as I am missing what we're supposed to be talking about, but I know this. I do know this. Mayor Bear's going to help us, because that's the kind of YouTube show that we're having today. So here's what we have on the show. Buzz Williams. We love Buzz.
Goes off.
He went off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brought up the receipts.
Okay, can we have something more? Give me a little more value, guys. Give me something more than he goes off.
He just told the truth. The truth hurts.
And it hurts. All right. This is the best TexAgs Rewind we've ever had. So we had Buzz. We played the sound of that. No, this is good. He's not good. You?
Thank you.
Yeah. You? Not so good. We also had Connor O'Gara, who always brings some good stuff into the show. We did talk about Buzz. We did talk some college football in the Aggies quarterback room and whatnot. Recruiting country, Bronny and Howell. The tension in the room, even though they were on Zoom and in studio, was just ridiculous. And Kendall Rogers talking about some Aggie baseball struggles yesterday against University of Houston. What does that mean with LSU looming? It's TexAgs Rewind. Here's Buzz Williams breaking it all down last night.
So that I can hopefully stay on track and not ramble, I have prepared an opening statement for tonight. I apologize in advance for this taking longer than normal, but for many reasons I think this is the right approach. And even though I've always answered any question you guys have asked, once I'm finished with this statement, I'm not going to answer any questions going forward on this topic, because my statement includes all that I'm comfortable sharing. When you're completely absorbed in a worthy cause, you give it all of your time, energy, and emotion. The sacrifice required prevents you from being aware of anything other than the cause you are devoted to. From Valentine's Day through Sunday afternoon, everyone in our program and the families they represent gave all they had. And in a way that I have never witnessed personally or professionally, gave their absolute best on a daily basis. And in truth, as the odds continued to grow against us, found ways to get better and embrace the task at hand that particular day. During that time, we won 5 of our last 6 to finish the regular season, and won 3 of 4 last week while advancing to the championship game of the conference tournament. That ending propelled us to a total of 12 SEC wins for the season. We found out Sunday afternoon that those numbers weren't good enough to be invited as an at-large team. We were and are completely devastated and heartbroken. Sad is the wrong word, because it doesn't completely express the totality of our emotions. Since our return late Sunday night, I have spent all of my waking hours trying to better understand the data on how those 12 SEC competition-only wins weren't enough, while knowing that the 4 teams in our league that won more than that were all a 4 seed or higher. As I began to do research, the first thing I wanted to learn was how members were selected to the committee and how the selection of those members even worked. In other words, what committee selected the committee? I wanted to research who was on the committee for this year's tournament, their career paths, and how when they were appointed to their position on the committee, so that once they were appointed, what data is it that they study? When, where, and how often do they meet? And when they meet, what are the topics of discussion And during it all, what metrics do they look at? And what is most important? I wanted to make sure that I studied it all with the lens they do, so that I could better understand how what we did this season wasn't enough. I wanted this understanding so I could have an explanation for our players, their parents, and coaches, and be accountable in my relationship with each of them. My phone and TV have been off since we landed late Sunday night, so I'm oblivious to whatever has been said. But similar to how the committee is supposedly sequestered, I wanted to make sure that my research was thorough and I didn't have the opinions of others diluting the information I was gathering. So that this doesn't turn into a math class, I have brought copies of the summary of my research, if for some reason any of you would want one. You guys are welcome to this. Without reviewing all of the numbers again, I have made copies so that you guys can see what I studied. After studying all of this nonstop the last 2 days and looking at it from every vantage point, it defies logic that we are not in the NCAA tournament. Despite repeated pleas, I have only been given generalities by those above me, not data-specific evidence on why we weren't invited. Without logical reasoning behind the decision, while knowing I still must explain this to our guys and their families, it has caused me to lose all respect and faith in the system and those that are in it. What has transpired is wrong. I am so sad for all of the young men in our program, especially those who decided to stay at Texas A&M with their COVID year of eligibility. The process is obviously flawed, and it is apparent that there is way more included that is unseen and unknown in the selection of the 36 at-large teams than what the public is made aware of. Until there is complete transparency and accountability, the system will stay broken, and this will continue to happen. Like many other things I have seen with the NCAA in my career, especially during my tenure here, allowing a personal bias to impact the process should not be allowed. Our players and staff earned a right to play in the greatest tournament in the world. And it disgusts me in a way that I can't articulate that the system and the adults in it prohibited that from happening, because several in our program will never have that opportunity again. Despite how disenchanted I have become with all of this, I will always stand up for our players and the families they represent. Regardless of the opinion of anyone, that is the least that I can do. Our focus is now on what we can control, and I will answer any questions about tonight.
A&M's quarterback room, all right? I know we've talked about it in the past, but just how strong do you feel about this room and what it can do next year?
It's great. Look, you got options, and that's the good thing. You know, I don't think anybody wants to ideally have a true freshman as the backup. So it makes a lot of sense why Jimbo Fisher went out, got Max Johnson, who had the most casual 27-6 TD to INT ratio in the history of college football. And I think that this situation now gives him options. You need to see what Haynes King can do over the course of the season to feel like he's truly, not over the course of the season, that's the wrong way to say it, but even just a month. Think of how much different the conversation with Haynes King would be if he had gotten hurt like in early October, as opposed to the second game of the year and so early on. And there's just this unknown with him. And there's this untapped potential of, well, what if he comes back and he's fully healthy and he looks like the guy who won the job out of camp last year? But we also have to ask the other question. What if he's not? What if his legs, which are such a big part of his game, aren't quite there? Does that give Max Johnson, who does have those SEC reps, maybe not as high of a ceiling, the advantage to be able to win that job in camp? I think it's really interesting. I think Connor Weigman, of course, is somebody that Jimbo Fisher is just gaga about, and understandably so, National Quarterback of the Year in this class. So I think it's got a lot of different options. I don't think that Jimbo Fisher wants to have that true freshman backup. I continue to say, Connor Weigman's going to be redshirting probably that first year, and this will come down to Haynes King versus Max Johnson, but I'm excited to kind of see the direction it goes.
Yeah. Let's get everybody's opinions. Jason, we'll start off with you. I'll go through a host of different people, but your initial thoughts there from the Under Armour camp there in Arlington.
Well, I was very impressed with DJ Hicks, 5-star out of Allen. When he goes through the bag drills and he's punching, you knew it was his rep. It was echoing throughout. He just has a different pop. It's kind of like when you hear somebody in batting practice, just sounds different. And that's what DJ Hicks did in drills and throughout one-on-ones. Just a very powerful, explosive guy. Everybody talks about his quickness, but his hands are as violent as you'll find out there. Zeno Mazlou had a great camp as well. 2024, one of the top 24s at the camp. Thought Johnny Bowens had a great overall camp as well. Showed off the spin move a few times, and he's one of those guys that's underrated for his quickness, but yeah, his strength, and he just brings a lot to the table where he could play inside and out. Anthony James did well in drill work. He was moving better than I've seen him in a while, and just overall, it was O-line, D-line was phenomenal. I'll tell you one other guy that's really come on over the last few weeks at different camps that I've seen, Isaiah Robinson. He's a guy that, we saw as timid, and he was not as mobile or flexible in the summer. While he's, kind of been fighting through some back stuff and has really come off of that well, and looks like he's in top form. He's taken O-line MVPs, I think, at 3 camps now that I've seen. Oh man, I know I missed Terrence Green from Cy Woods, had a great camp.
Hey, stay off my Houston guys, dude.
I'm telling you. Hey man, I got to sing their praises when I see him a couple times in the last month. And big dude. A lot of people talking about, him possibly moving to O-line, but he took home D-line MVP honors, and he's got a lot of people getting after him. I think A&M's in there as well. Ryan, you may know more than I do, but
no offer there, but he's on that list of guys that A&M is continuing to evaluate, go through the spring. And I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on the show about they've got a group of, I don't know the number, but there is a core group of guys at the top of their list that don't have offers yet that they're keeping tabs on. Terrence Green's in that category, along with a guy like Marquise Collins out of College Station, who won running back MVP awards over the weekend at the Dallas camp, along with guys like Bravion Rogers out of LaGrange. So there's a group, I'd say it's probably about 10 deep in the state, of guys they're really keeping tabs on, and Terrence Green is amongst those. But to add to Hal, what Hal said, those names, I would like to also mention Jonte Cook, Obviously, a huge A&M target, but he was very, very good in the reps that I watched, and a huge stock-up guy for me, and a guy that I would love to see A&M get involved with is Anthony Evans out of Converse Judson. He's currently committed to Arkansas. To me, he's like Evan Stewart light.
Hey, we talked about the top 2 upsets there in college baseball, but there were other ones yesterday. Liberty goes down, Clemson goes down, Maryland goes down. Is it just one of those midweek game days that happens, or is there something else happening?
Yeah, the thing about midweek is, over the years, I've started to devalue those losses and those wins a little bit, just because, you run in a lot of situations to where teams in the mid-major level have kind of figured out that, hey, from an RPI perspective, like it doesn't matter whether or not you play some other weekend or midweek. Those wins matter equally. So, some of these teams are out there throwing their, number 1 or number 2 guys 4 innings on a bullpen day, against, somebody else's number 5 or number 6 starter, and all of a sudden they win those games. And so I just, the midweek to me is a total crapshoot. You had no idea what to expect.
I was going to ask you what to do. I'm just going to ask you what to do.
Okay.
Just tell us.
Like, subscribe, comment, share, anything else that's great for us, do that too.
Dalton, can you offer any?
Watch it 20,000 times.
Venmo Jamie.
Cash out.
Jamie Maury.
Right. The best app to share money with Jamie.
And how about Casey giving a high five to my son Christian yesterday and saying, "Oh, Bad Bunny's coming." That was very good. Thank you, Casey, for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.